G'day, I'm Steve Keir. I'm the production manager here at Akubras. We've been based here in Kempsey for about 50 years now, and I'll start off with our fur processing plant. So each batch of hats is about 16 kilos, so we mix our different furs depending on what the final colour is going to be. It then goes into this big drum mixer where it spins around for a period of time, just mixing up all the furs, and then into the hopper here, which gets any dust and extra grit out of the fur. It's basically all the waste fur, the longer, thicker stuff that's no good for hat making drops out the bottom, and then what's finished in that tub is what we use for hat making. So we've got about five or six suppliers of fur. They all come from Europe. Fortunately, we can't get any Aussie rabbits anymore, but that's how it comes to us, just in a big bale, just like that. So this is where we start forming the hat. Pretty much the fur's brought in, and the machine we've got in there sucks the fur onto a big cone, and that's the sort of starting body of the hat. It's about 3 times the size of what the hat finishes up as. And then we've got a couple other steps in there that are start of the felting process. So in here's where we sort of keep processing the body of the hat. We've got some quality inspection. There's about 4 or 5 machines there that all do their part in felting the hat down to the final size. So this is our blocking shop. This is where the hat comes in as a cone, and then it finishes sort of roughly looking like a hat. Put the right size brim, the right size crown, and the height of the crown is sort of where the hat sort of begins to take shape. So pretty much it's called a dry room, but it pretty much is an oven. It heats up overnight to about 90 degrees, and the hats are pretty well cooked. And it just softens up the shellac and sort of lets it go evenly across the hat, and then when they cool down, they're sort of rock hard. Behind me is the start of the finishing department. So once the hats come out from the blocking shop and the drying room, they get put through a machine called a beater, which softens them up. We then pounce them, which is just a light sanding, sort of a rough sand to take the long fur off. Then they get blocked, ironed, sanded, and then polished with a rag, all through this process behind me. Even our leather sweatbands that go inside the hat, there's about an 8-step process to get them made. First we cut them from the hide, and we've got to stamp them by the style of the hat, and then we've got to run some backing onto it, join them together, put a bit of a curve on it so it sits nicely in the hat. It's soft, Brad. We're in the trim shop now. This is where we get all the additions to the hat. So in the sweatband on the inside of the hat. We've got tipping. That's if the hat gets a stamp on the inside. Otherwise, it'll get a lining later on. And we also sew on the band that goes on the outside of the hat. That each sort of hat has its own distinctive band. And then from there, it's pretty much the finished hat. Akubras itself has been in Kempsey for just over 50 years, but next year's our 150th anniversary of making hats in Australia. So pretty big year for us next year.